Hello, hello. Testing. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a good night or good morning, because I know some of you just woke up recently. I hope everyone's doing really good. It's good to see you all. Oh. Okay, so this is my first time doing something like this. So I'm still setting things up. I'm that someone that just woke up. You and Jacob both. Okay. So, I kind of had some trouble deciding what I wanted to. This is so cute already. Oh no, you're too sweet. I kind of had some trouble deciding what I wanted to read on stream. I talked it over with some people, and I know some of you know I'm like obsessed with ReZero. Anyway, we're gonna be reading the ReZero light novel because I thought that would be fun, and I think even for a lot of ReZero fans, it's something that they've probably never read. Hi Tawani, hi Lily, Jacob, hi everyone, I love you all. Hi Kohi, I see you. I see you over there giving your love. um, okay, so let's. I hope I'm not too big. I'm gonna have to adjust sizing probably. Hi everyone, it's good to see you all. Mwah. Okay, I'm gonna move. Can you read me bedtime stories more often? I'd love to. What am I gonna do with my chat box? Oh, here. I should make a copy of my chat box. I am but a simple tortoise. It is hard. That is here to to be read stories. Okay, let's see. I'll just make a new chat box. Good idea, VTuber Priscilla. Okay, I hope you all don't mind. I'm probably gonna be a little bit slow tonight. I'm not really in a rush to do anything. I'm cooing at how soothing your voice is. Aww. I just want to have a nice chill night where we just spend some quality time together. Just you and me, you know, getting close. Maybe we could snuggle up while we read together. Okay, let's see, chat box. Do I know how to read? No. There it is. I'm gonna call this the full screen chat box. Okay. That should be fine. Okay. Let's replace this chat box. Yeah, cute bunny. Oh. Okay, and we're just gonna squish this a little bit. I'm sorry if it will be hard to read. Please forgive me. But I figure the chat isn't too important. I hope you guys don't mind. Obviously, it's kind of hard to not cover up the entire book. Or it's hard to avoid covering up any of the pages, but I figured it would be fine to cover up a little bit here and there. Hi, Pally. Hi, I hope you're having a good night. It's good to see you. Chat isn't important to Scylla. No, you're all important to me. I just figured it probably wouldn't be too important for people to see the chat. So it's a little bit big. So, you know, there's still some chat you can see, but it's not too important. Okay. So, I'm actually really excited to read this with you all. I've been reading through, I read through all of the ReZero light novels that are already published in English. And then I was like, this isn't enough for me. So I started reading through the ReZero web novels. And they're really, really good. Oh, by the way, I don't know if this is a good idea, but do you guys maybe want some rain sounds? Or is this too much? Maybe I could turn it down a little bit. Somewhere like down here. So it's just a little quiet. Quieter than the music, but you could still probably hear it. I don't know if that sounds like a good idea or not. But I like the idea of soft rain. Okay, we'll go with it then. So, I'm reading this off of Bookwalker, and I'm really excited. I don't know English, but your face is cute, so I shall listen. I like ocean sounds when I sleep. Okay, so ReZero, Starting Life in Another World by Tapai Nagatsuki. Nagatsuki? I hope I'm not doing that wrong. Pronouncing that wrong. Hi Kazik, it's good to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful night. So the ReZero light novels are really cool. The first few pages are like some scenes throughout the volume. So this is a scene that we're gonna see later on. So we can see Subaru here with Amelia. If I had my comfy emote right now, I'd be spamming it. Aw. The silver-haired girl was surrounded by faint lights that looked as though they were fireflies. It was like holy ground where, by the influence of the supernatural, only what was sanctified was allowed to be. If you need me, if anyone has any audio suggestions, by the way, if you want me to turn down the music or anything like that, I can do that. We're just playing it by ear and seeing what's the most comfy for everyone. Okay, and then for this part, we'll probably zoom in a bit because it's a little hard to read. Characters. ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. The only ability Subaru Natsuki gets when he's summoned to another world is time travel via his own death. But to save her, he'll die as many times as it takes. So we've got Subaru Natsuki here. A high school student summoned suddenly to another world. Our protagonist, Subaru, is not only ignorant and without special abilities, but also powerless, acts without thinking, and is way out of step with his surroundings. Then we've got question mark, question mark, question mark, but you know, I don't think there's anyone who doesn't know that her name is Amelia. A beautiful, mysterious girl that Subaru meets in the capital city. She appeared to be looking for something, but... And then we've got this cutie here named Puck. Pucku, a cat spirit. Puck is like family to the aforementioned mysterious, beautiful girl. Alright, and we've got some more characters here too. Reinhard. A knight among knights, Reinhard is called the Master Swordsman. This guy, Rom, as the master of the loot cellar and having handled many such items, Rom has a good eye for appraising valuable items. I thought Reinhard had a giant shield. No, he has a giant... Wait, you're making an Overwatch reference. Okay, I see you, Lily. G. Okay. Elsa. A gorgeous woman with a seductive aura about her. Elsa appears to be doing business with Felt, but... So, yeah, as you can see, ReZero is really good. You're so fluff and based. Aw, hi Hina. I hope you're having a good night. It's good to see you. Reinhardt still reminds me of Yo_VT pre-rebound. I actually don't know that person. I thought Elsa had ice powers and a girlfriend named Anna. You're so cute. Kadoman, with a strong build and characteristically stern. I hope you guys are ready for me to mispronounce a lot of words. Have you watched all of season 2? Yes, I have. It's really good. Characteristically stern expression. Kadoman is nothing more than a simple merchant. Felt. Raised in the slums of the capital, Felt makes her living by pickpocketing and theft in general. Take your time. Do you like fluffy raccoons? Yeah, I like raccoons. Haha, tiny white bunnies. They go hum, hum, hum. Okay. So those are all the characters we get introduced to. And now, without further ado, let's get started, everybody. Felt is such a cutie. I'm gonna try to go for quite a while. So I guess we'll see how it goes, but I want to read a lot to you guys. I thought I was a turtle, but apparently I'm a dog. Bark. Okay. Sorry if I kind of block some of the text. I'll do my best to not do that, but can't stay long because I'm trying to do stuff. But I love you. Aw. Well, I hope your stuff goes well. Love you too. Prologue. The waste heat of the beginning. This is really, really not good. Feeling the hard texture of the ground against his face, he realized that he had fallen face down on the ground. He couldn't move, even when he tried, and he already couldn't feel his fingers. What he did feel was a certain heat, and it overwhelmed his entire body. It's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. He coughed and vomited the blood he felt rising in his throat, the source of his waning life. So much came out that it frothed at the edges of his mouth. With his hazy vision, he could see the ground in front of him stained red. Arson. You've gotta be kidding me. All of this is mine? Feeling as though all of the blood in his body had spilled out of him, he reached a shaking hand to try to find the source of the heat that was burning through his body. As his fingertips reached the large cut in his stomach, he understood. No wonder it felt so hot. His brain must have been mistaking pain for heat. The clean gash that ran through his torso was so deep it had almost sliced him in half. Only bits of skin were still holding him together. In other words, he had run right into a checkmate in the chess game of his life. As soon as he realized that, his consciousness immediately began to fall away from him. Before his eyes, he saw a black boot descend, making ripples in the red pool of his fresh blood. Someone was there, and that someone was probably the one who killed him. But he didn't even think to look that person in the face. It didn't matter anymore. The one thing he did wish was that she, at least, would be safe. Baru? He felt as if he heard a voice that rang like bells, that he heard the voice, that he could hear that voice. Felt like salvation to him more than anything else. So, with a short scream, someone else crumpled upon the carpet of blood. She landed right beside him. He lay there weakly attempting to reach her. Her white hand fell, powerless. He lightly grasped it in his own blood-stained grip. He felt the fingers of her hand move slightly to accept his own. Just you wait. He seized his fading consciousness, pulling it desperately back to buy a bit more time. I'm going to find a way to save you. In the next instant, he, Subaru Natsuki, lost his life. Um, so if you couldn't tell already, ReZero is really violent. But I think that because of how violent it is, it has a really special charm where when, like, almost all of the series is lots of violence and pain and suffering, it makes the positive moments feel so much more impactful. And it has a big impact on me. Okay, Chapter 1, The End of the Beginning. This is really going to be a problem. With no money and no idea what to do, he repeated the thought over and over again in his mind. Well, it wasn't completely accurate to say he had no money. The wallet in his pocket was filled with all the cash he owned, enough to go on a little bit of shopping spree if he had to, under normal circumstances. But in this case, no money is really the only way to describe his situation. Yeah, but the currency system here is completely different, isn't it? The young man flicked his rare notched 10 yen coin in the air and breathed a deep sigh. He didn't really have any features about him that stood out. He had short black hair and was of average height, being neither short nor tall. He was a bit muscular, though, as if he had been working out, and the cheap gray tracksuit that he was wearing really suited him quite well. He had small irises, so the whites of his eyes stood out, but right now, the way his eyes were downcast, he didn't have a very aggressive or championing look to him. He looked average enough to be quickly lost in a crowd, but right now, most of those passing by looked at him out of the corners of their eyes as if they were looking at something strange they had never seen before. But this was to be expected. After all, among all those onlookers, not one of them had black hair, nor were any of them wearing tracksuits. They had blonde hair, red hair, and brown hair. Some even had blue or green hair, among others, and they were wearing armor or black robes, or that kind of costume a dancer might wear, that sort of thing. Among Us? Hi, Deva. Hi, Papa. I hope you're doing good. As he stood before the waves of open stairs, the young man crossed his arms and had no other option but to accept the truth. I hope you're doing good, Ba. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're doing good. This has got to be one of those, he said, snapping his fingers and pointing out towards the crowd of onlookers. One of those so-called "I've been summoned to another world" deals, right? He said as an ox cart-like vehicle pulled by a giant lizard-like thing crossed in front of him. Prissy voice comfy? Aww. Well, I'm glad I can help make you comfy. Subaru Natsuki was an extremely ordinary boy, born on Earth, the third planet in the solar system, to a middle-class family in the nation of Japan. If you were to sum up the nearly 17 years of his life, the previous sentence would be enough to describe him. I'll lurk till I sleep, boo. And if you felt the need to add anything else, the extra sentence, he was a third-year public high school student with a tendency to not show up to class, would be sufficient. Placed at a fork in the road of life, such as whether to pursue a college degree or jump straight into the workforce, people are generally forced to make a decision one way or the other. That sort of decision-making is something everyone has to deal with, and part of what we call life. But in Subaru's case, you might call it his specialty. He was a bit better than your average Joe at running away from things he did not like. In avoiding such a decision, the number of his unexcused absences had piled up, and before he knew it, he was a bona fide truant, the kind parents weep over. Aww. All the huggies in the chat. I want to hug Ba and Lily. And to top it all off, now I've been summoned to a whole different world. I guess that seals the deal. I'm a high school dropout now, but seriously, what the hell is going on? He felt as if he was having a not so well thought out dream, but even after pinching his cheeks and smacking his head against a wall, he wouldn't wake up. Subaru sighed. He had drifted away from where he was, getting all sorts of curious looks, and now was sitting against a wall in an alley just off the main road. Assuming I really have been summoned to a fantasy world, the state of civilization appears to be the usual medieval-like setting. So far, I haven't seen anything mechanical, but the roads are pretty well paved, and of course I can't use any of my cash. As for whether he could communicate with the people here, and regarding the value of goods, those were things that Subaru checked immediately upon realizing he had been summoned to a different world. Fortunately, he had no problem communicating, and he was able to confirm that commerce was handled in a currency of gold, silver, and copper coins. His first contact, a merchant at a fruit stand, wasn't all that welcoming to him, though. Mwah. As for why Subaru was so quick to accept and understand his current situation, the fact that he was a modern Japanese youth poisoned by anime and games had something to do with it. Imagine being poisoned by anime and games. Couldn't be me. And for that, he was very thankful. It wouldn't be an overestimate to say that as an adolescent boy, this sort of overworldly summoning was the kind of thing you'd dream would happen to you. But on that note, without a little bit more of a welfare safety net thing going on, a laid-back guy like myself isn't going to be able to deal, you know? Subaru complained. Given his current situation and pitiful starting equipment, he couldn't help it. His belongings consisted of a cell phone, which looked like it would run out of battery soon, a wallet filled with membership cards from various video rental stores, a cup of instant ramen he'd bought from the convenience store, pork bone and soy sauce flavor, a bag of crispy snacks bought from the same store, corn soup flavor, his favorite gray tracksuit, unwashed, and well-worn sneakers, 2 years old. That was it. I didn't even get a single Excalibur. I'm done. What am I supposed to do in this getup? Wow, not even a single Excalibur. Okay. Well, there's only so much you can hope for when you're summoned to a different world. On your way back from the convenience store, it had happened in the blink of an eye. Subaru had already gotten hungry and eaten half of the one thing he had that might have been of any use, his pack of crispy snacks, before realizing that he had just gone through his only source of food. But worrying about it wasn't going to help him now. Even if he wanted to put his hopes on the possibilities that this was being staged as part of an elaborate reality TV show, the large lizard carts and look of all the people passing by nipped that in the bud. The fact that no one seems to be paying attention to them means that they're probably normal, both those giant lizards and the half-humans. Subaru grumbled and looked on as people with strange outfits and colorful hair passed by. But out of all of them, the ones who really drove home the fact that he had been summoned to another world were the half-humans. I'll also be lurking, but I'll be listening to your beautiful voice. I gotta work more on my house. I understand. Good luck, Lily. Let me know if you need anything. I love you. Without having to look too long, Subaru could see people with dog ears and cat ears, and there were even some who looked like they were lizard men. But of course, there were also ordinary humans, the same as Subaru. So this is a world with half-humans, and probably wars and adventures too. As for whether there are any animals I'm used to around, I'm not too sure, but given that lizard cart thing, it looks like they use animals in the same way we do. Cat ears, Neko Mimi. Ferris. Ferris. I love Ferris. After putting all of that together, Subaru let out a long breath, but not a sigh. If things unfolded the way he had fantasized about before, about otherworldly summoning, he ought to be able to use his knowledge of modern civilization to hold sway over everyone else. But there were a lot of things that still didn't make sense. The truth is, I have no idea what to do next, and I still have no idea how or why I've summoned. I don't remember stepping into a mirror or falling into a pond, and if I'm to believe this is an otherworldly summoning format I'm used to, where is the beautiful girl who summoned me? The lack of a main heroine in this otherworldly summoning setup was a big hole in the plot. If this were taking place in a 2D world, someone in the creative department was seriously slacking off. If Subaru was really summoned for no apparent reason and then abandoned just like that, it put him on the same level as single-use disposable goods. Now that Subaru had finished establishing the state of his surroundings, he really couldn't think of anything better to do than return to his default state of escaping from reality. I guess if I keep this up, it's no different from locking myself up in my room back home. The thought of his parents crossed his mind, but right now he wasn't in a position where he could just sit around feeling homesick. Thinking he had to do something about his current situation, he stood back up and turned back towards the main road. But just as Subaru was about to walk out onto the main road, he almost bumped into someone who moved out in front of him. Oh, sorry about that. Subaru gave a short apology and tried to continue past, but my fave light novel. Hi, Lucky Lukoa. I hope you're doing good. This is also my favorite light novel, so I'm happy to have you here. Hi, Raven. Awu. Hi, beautiful Auntie Bun Bun. Hi, Raven. I hope you're doing good. He was grabbed firmly by the shoulder and pulled back into the alley, nearly falling over himself as he turned around. Subaru looked up to see the person who had thrown him back was a man with a large build. Behind that man were two of his buddies, and the three men stood in such a way as to block Subaru from exiting the alley onto the main road. The way they moved, it didn't appear this was the first time these men had done this, and Subaru had a bad feeling about what was going to come next. May I ask what you three fine fellows plan on doing with me? Hello. Hope y'all's night is going well. My night is going very well. I'm having a really good time reading this so far. And it's nice to just chill out and read a little bit with friends. To get all comfy with everyone. It looks like this one here's a smart one. Well, nothing to worry about. Just give us everything you've got on you, and there's no need for anyone to get hurt. So that's the deal, huh? Yeah, I guess it would be. Haha. This really sucks. The men's gazes were filled with scorn and ridicule. They looked like they were in their 20s, with the meanness of their personalities reflected in their faces and dirty appearances. They didn't look like they were half humans, but they certainly weren't saints either. You couldn't call it an unusual plot development. Encountering thugs was a way to show the dangers of everyday life. In other words, dang, I've triggered a compulsory event. Comfy is the best state to be in. It's nice and relaxing in here. Aw, I'm glad. I try my best to keep everything chill. As he looked at the men smirking, Subaru tried to hold the status quo with a fake smile and considered his options. He was in quite a pinch, but since the beginning of time, in stories where humans are summoned to other worlds, those humans tended to be able to wield some kind of superpower. If Subaru had been summoned to this world under the same conditions as the stories he was familiar with, it was very likely that he had been given some sort of power. With that thought, Subaru felt that his body was a little lighter than usual. I'm starting to get the feeling that this world's gravity is like only a tenth of my world's. I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to mow you all down and make this my first chapter of a glorious future. You're only here so I can pull experience points off of you, scum. What the hell is he going on about? Said one of the men. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he's making fun of us. Let's kill him, replied another. Took the words right out of my mouth. You're going to regret this, returned Subaru, before flying forward with a straight jab from his right hand, aiming for the big man in front. Subaru's fist collided with the man's nose, but he also cut his fist on one of the man's front teeth and started bleeding. I hit someone for the first time in my life. Wow, it hurts way more than I expected. Subaru was confident in his fighting form, but he had never been in a real fight before. The man who was punched fell to the ground. Without taking a moment to pause, Subaru leapt at another of the men, caught off guard as his next target. With a clean arc, he landed a kick on the side of the next man's head, slamming him into the wall of the alley. This was going even better than he'd expected, and he started to be sure of the notion that he was invincible in this new world. I guess in this world my stats are pretty good. What a rush, now to finish this. Turning back around, Subaru bent forward to beat down the last man standing, when his eyes centered on what that man was holding in his hand, a glinting knife. Immediately, Subaru dropped to his knees, bent over forward, and with a spectacular single motion, prostrated himself, pressing his forehead against the ground. I'm sorry, that was absolutely terrible of me. I ask that you forgive me and please find it in your generous hearts to spare my life. Prostration. It was the most extreme form of showing absolute submission to another, and the lowest form of Japanese humility. Just where did all of that fired up feeling go? Subaru felt as if he could hear the blood drain from his body. Desperately clinging to any hope of mercy, he tried to make himself seem small and continued to apologize. With a knife involved, fighting was out of the question. No matter how you might train yourself, if you were stabbed, it was all over. All things in life are transient. Before he knew it, the two that Subaru thought he had defeated were back on their feet. One was holding his bleeding nose, and the other was shaking his head back and forth. But other than that, they both looked as though they were in surprisingly good condition. What is castration? Sorry, I was half listening. Huh? No. Prostration. Prostration, not castration, Lily. Oh my gosh. That's so funny. Hi, Draco. Sorry, as a trans girl, I got excited. Oh my god, Lily. I hope you're doing good tonight, Draco. It's good to see you. What? You mean to tell me that my one-hit knockout punch only did that much damage? What about my superpowers? All things in life are trans. Castrate me harder. I don't know what you're going on about, but shut your trap. You've really done it now. It looked as though Subaru had been completely wrong about being summoned into another world, coming with the promise of some kind of superpowers. He wasn't really any stronger than he had been before. One of the men stepped on the back of Subaru's head, scraping his forehead against the ground and causing him to bleed. Another then kicked him in the face, and Subaru curled into a ball as tightly as he could, as he was subjected to further acts of violence. After all, the one who hit first was Subaru. The men didn't hold back at all. This really, really hurts. Like, I could die. No, seriously. I love your laugh, dear. Oh, you're too sweet. I can't believe they cut out all the castration in the end. Yeah, I can't believe they would censor the castration. They would censor the part where they made Subaru trans. Unlike in his own world, there was no guarantee that these thugs wouldn't take his life. At this rate, it would be better to try one last-ditch effort to retaliate before he was beaten to death. Stop moving, you whelp. Ow, no, don't. Ow, ow, ow. The man with the knife stomped on Subaru's head as he tried to get up, then readjusted his grip on the knife so that the tip was held back toward his arm, ready to strike. After we make sure you can't move, we're going to take everything you've got. That's what you get for acting tough, you punk. If you're looking for money or valuables, I'm sorry, but you're out of luck. After all, I don't have a cent on me. Then those strange-looking clothes and shoes will do just fine. You can stay down and be food for the alley rats. Oh, so there are rats in this world, too, Subaru thought. I hope they aren't big like monster rats or anything. Subaru looked at the knife about to come down as if it didn't concern him at all, distancing himself from reality as best he could. Subaru didn't see his life flash before his eyes, and he didn't feel like time was slowing down either. The end would probably come like the cutting of a thread, he thought. But just then, "Hey, out of the way! Out of the way! I'm talking to you! Move!" yelled someone in a flustered-sounding voice as they dashed into the alley. Like the men, who suddenly looked up, Subaru managed to glance up in the direction of the voice, but he couldn't move his body. What he saw was a small girl with longish blonde hair dashing by. From her red eyes you could sense a strong will, and her one canine tooth sticking out made her look like quite a prankster. She seemed more cheeky than anything else, but Subaru felt that if she smiled, she would look pretty cute. As if it had been staged for a comeback, the fading light of hope Subaru had been holding lit anew. He was waiting for this kind of development. The girl, in her well-worn clothes and unclean appearance, had stumbled upon this attempted murder and robbery in the act. What would surely happen next was that with an overflowing sense of justice, this girl would save Subaru's life, right from the clutches of death. Whoa, you look like you're in quite a pinch there, but sorry, I've got my hands full right now. Good luck. Live life to the fullest. Wait, what? Are you serious? Unfortunately, that hope was shattered in an instant. The girl raised her hand in an apologetic sort of gesture and didn't slow down as she continued racing down the alley. She went right past the men and kept going towards what should have been a dead end, kicked off against the wooden plank set up against the end wall, grabbed the top of the wall, and lightly flung herself up onto the roof of one of the surrounding buildings, where she disappeared. I like giving you guys kisses occasionally. And here we get a picture of Felt and the three men that are beating Subaru up. After the girl was gone, a silence fell upon the alley. It was as if a hurricane had passed. Both Subaru and the men were dumbstruck. However, this didn't mean that Subaru's situation had improved at all. Doesn't what just happened make your anger just sort of melt away and make you want to change your minds about all of this? More like it killed the mood, and now I'm even angrier. Don't think you'll get to die a pleasant death. Kissies. I love you, cutie. I love you all. Mwah. Mwah. The men couldn't keep their feet planted on Subaru, the men kept their feet planted on Subaru, so he couldn't move. As Subaru looked at the glint of the knife in the man's hand, the death that loomed before him seemed ever more real. No, I mean, you've got to be kidding. I can't die this easily, can I? A twitching smile formed on Subaru's face as he looked around desperately for someone to deny the death that was coming his way. However, no such convenient development. Heart came. The tip of the knife drew ever closer. A feeling of resignation came over Subaru, and he felt tears well up in his eyes. It wasn't fear that overwhelmed him. It was more the feeling of emptiness that this would all end without him accomplishing anything. In the midst of this overwhelming despair, feeling as if he had been abandoned by everyone and everything. Hold it right there, you evildoers! That voice overcame the noise of the crowd, the vulgar insults of the men, Subaru's own heavy breathing, as well as everything else, and shook the very foundations of the world. When people say time stood still, they must surely be talking about times like this. There was a girl standing at the entrance to the alley. Stop right there, criminal scum. You violated the law. She was a she was beautiful. She had long silver hair with braids in it that reached down to her hips. She was looking straight at Subaru with violet eyes that shone with intelligence. In her soft features were both elements of youth, but also mature beauty. There was also a noble air about her that gave her a dangerous, bewitching charm. Oh. The girl was about 1 head shorter than Subaru, which made her around 5 feet 3 inches tall. I wish I was 5 feet 3 inches tall. Your stolen goods are forfeit. Pay the court a fine. The clothes she wore used white as the base color, and there was nothing terribly ornate about them, but on the other hand, the simplicity emphasized her presence. The one thing that stood out was the white cloak the girl was wearing. It was emblazoned with embroidery that depicted a bird of prey, adding to her impression of majesty. However, it wasn't the clothes she wore that made her shine so. I will not stand by and watch any more of your wrongdoing. That is enough. Do you see that wrongdoing, like, should have a space there? Wait, is wrongdoing one word? I don't know. It might be, actually. That is enough. Her voice, like silver bells, rang beautifully in Subaru's ears, and for a moment, he forgot the situation he was in. He was completely undone by the silver-haired girl's presence. The other men seemed to be just as shaken as Subaru was. Who do you think you are? If you stop right now, I'll let you go. In a way, this is my fault for not being cautious, so do the right thing and give back what you stole. Hey, what she's wearing looks expensive. You think she's nobility? Wait, huh? What we stole? Please, it is very precious to me. I'd be willing to give it up if it were anything else, but I absolutely can't in this case. Please, I won't do anything to you, so please just give it back. Your stolen goods are now forfeit. The girl looked as if she was pleading with all of her heart. However, there was an inexplicable feeling of pressure that rose within the group. Something was happening that was hard to explain. Wait a minute, we don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? The men pointed to Subaru, still underfoot. You didn't come here to rescue this guy, did you? Those are some weird clothes that boy is wearing. Did you all have a fight among yourselves? I don't think 3 against 1 is really fair, but if you're asking me if I know this person, I haven't even seen him before in my life. Perhaps it was because she thought the men were trying to change the subject. Jay the Young Boy 3, thank you for the follow. Welcome to Priscilla's Castle. You are now one of my stuffed animals, one of my plushies. But you could hear an amount of irritation in her voice. Because of that, each of the men rushed to explain themselves. Wait a second, if you're not after this guy, then we're not involved. I bet it was that girl from before. Plushies. Yeah, plushies. Lily, I can't wait for you to meet all my plushies in real life. That means we cuddle Bun Bun nightly. Yeah. Oh, don't worry. I'm a stuffed animal. I get 20 to 25 hugs a day. I like hugs. Can I hug you? You said you had something stolen from you, right? That wall. You see that wall? She jumped off that wall and ran away on the rooftops. I'm looking forward to it. She's further back past that wall. At the rate she was going, she's probably another 3 streets down. As the men continued to plead their innocence, the girl turned her eyes to Subaru, as if asking whether these men were telling the truth. Without thinking, Subaru nodded. It doesn't look like you're lying, so the one who stole from me is down further ahead. I've got to hurry. The girl turned away from Subaru and the men and towards the main road. The men clearly looked relieved. Subaru, faced with the reality of his abandonment, started to enter a state of shock when... Still, the situation is one I can't just ignore. As she turned back around, the girl put her hands up, palm facing outward, and a series of shining lights began to dance in front of it. I'm new to Twitch, so how do you get bits? If you actually click on, if you look in the chat, there's a little, how do I describe that shape? Hydrate. Thank you, Raven. On the right, there's two symbols. One is for emotes, and the one to the left of the emotes one is for bits. And when you click that, it'll be like, would you like to buy bits? Bitty diamond shape. Yeah, yeah. A dull thud rang out, like that of a hard object striking flesh, followed by the cries of the men as they were thrown backwards. Then there was a high-pitched sound as a fist-sized clump of ice fell to the ground right beside Subaru. The clump of ice, which seemed to have formed heedless of both the season and the laws of physics, quickly evaporated as if it were being eaten by the surrounding air. Magic. The best word to describe what just happened immediately tumbled out of Subaru's mouth. There wasn't any incantation or anything, but that chunk of ice had definitely shot out of that girl's palm. Magic. Having seen it with his very own eyes for the first time, Subaru realized something. It isn't quite as fantasy-like as I imagined, to be honest. This is kind of a letdown. Subaru had imagined that there would be more light and energy being bounced around. In reality, all that happened was an unrefined looking clump of ice suddenly materialized, was used as a blunt object for physical damage, and then suddenly disappeared. There was no feeling or anything put into it at all. Wow, this magic is weak. Now you've done it. Subaru's feelings on magic aside, the other men who had taken a real hit from those clumps of ice got back on their feet. To be fair, it was only two of them who managed to get back up. The remaining man must have gotten hit in a bad spot, because he was still knocked out. But rather than this fact taking the fight out of them, it seemed to just make the other two men even angrier. Standing next to the man with the knife, the other drew out a blunt, club-like object, and both were ready to fight. Wow, way to make it sound so unmagical. I don't care if you're a magic user or nobility or whatever. I've had enough. We're gonna kill you. Do you really think you can win a 2-on-1 fight? Yelled the man with a knife, holding his face, blood still dripping from his nose. In response to his threats, the girl closed one of her eyes. You're right. 1 against 2 sounds like it could be a little tough. In that case, would 2-on-2 be a bit more fair? As if it were finishing the girl's sentences, a new, higher-pitched, genderless voice entered the fray. Startled, Subaru looked around. The other men also followed suit, but there wasn't anyone inside or at the entrance to the alley who looked as though they were the owner of that voice. Sorry, thought someone said something about delicious pancakes. I like delicious pancakes. Then, as if to show both Subaru and the other men the answer to their question, the girl extended her left hand. Sitting on top of her palm and white fingers, there it was. I'm a bear. Ah. Pancakes, where? Ooh, pancakes. You talk about pancakes and all the cuties come running. Strawberry pancakes? Yes! Lukoa, you get me on... You love ReZero and you like strawberry pancakes. You get me on a spiritual level. When you all stare at me like that, full of expectation, it's kind of embarrassing. Chocolate pancakes? Priscilla's such a princess. I like being a princess. Using its paw to clean its face was a small palm-sized cat that stood upright on its two hind legs. It had gray hair and floppy ears. To the best of Subaru's knowledge, it was nearest to an American short hair. That is, if you ignore the fact that its nose was pink and it had a tail about the length of its body. I need some cake because my auntie's cake be like, sheesh. This bussin'. Chalky is good too, but strawberry. Strawberry. Hi, Allie. Or ally. Ally. I just realized I don't know how to spell Allie versus ally. But hi, I hope you're having a good night. An adorable, precious princess. Oh, Raven. The princess of her precious castle. Seeing the small, palm-sized cat, the men with the knife seemed overcome with fear and yelled, You're a spirit mage? That's right. If you want to leave right now, I won't chase after you. But make up your minds quick. I'm in a hurry. How did you become a VTuber? I want VTubers, a good VTuber software. I became a VTuber about 9 months ago. And I kind of just became a VTuber by, I commissioned an artist to make a design for a character. Thank you for the follow. I commissioned an artist to make a design for a character, and then I commissioned a live 2D artist to turn it into Priscilla. Here, I'll let's see. Can I here, so yeah, this is my live 2D model. Here, I'll actually just show you the whole model because it's easier that way. And I went to the artist with the drawing of my character and I was like, can you make this? And they were like, yes. And then they did it. And then the software I use is Live 2D. VTube Studio. And it's very good for live 2D models. Is she thick? Snuggle pile? Yes, please. Oh. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I misclicked. What were you trying to click on? You have a full body. Nice, nice. Cuddle the cutie all day? I want cuddles. Okay. Priscilla, full body. My thing lags a lot. You know, I have all these buttons that let me like switch like where my character is. I should have one for just to zoom in on my thighs. I think that'd be funny. Oh my god, you're so cute. I think you're gonna be my comfort streamer. Aw. I'd love to be. I hope I can be a lot of people's comfort streamer. Thigh cam. It could be like a redeem, like for like, I don't know, 150 points. I'll just zoom in on my thighs for you. Ooh, woo. Auntie Bun Bun is hot. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Where was I? With that, the men rushed to pick up their fallen companion and leave the alley, but as they passed the girl on their way out, one of the men clicked his tongue and said, I'm going to remember your face, you... girl. The next time we see you, it won't go this well for you. The little laugh, I cannot... If you do anything to her, I'll curse you and all of your offspring, you know. Though in that case, you won't be having any. Flustered Bun Bun is a treasure. Oh, Kazik, thank you for the hydrate. And also stretch. I didn't swear. I knew that was a swear. I just didn't really know what to say to like get past it. Oh, Lukoa. Oh. I'm really glad I can be a comfort streamer for you. For the for the thug, that must have been his best attempt at intimidation. But in contrast, the cat's response was light in tone but much more severe. Ship chu papi mini yan mini. Is Priscilla say so? I'm not say so. I don't swear. I'm a very very lewd girl. This is true, but I try my best to not swear. Sophia. Hi, Sophia. Pris cute. Ah, Sophia cute. Hi, how are you? It's good to see you. Sorry if my voice got a little bit loud. I got excited. It's Chu Papi Minye on. Chu Papi Minye on? Does that mean something? Is that another language? The cat didn't seem to be completely serious, but the men paled more than they ever had before and ran out onto the main road without another word. Ah, yes, story time. Sunflower, hi Sunflower, it's so good to see you. Also, Ellie7P, thank you for the follow. Kaida, hi, Bun. Priorities, lewd girl. Prioritizes lewd girl but with no swearing. No, it's a TikTok thing. Oh. Reject crude, embrace lewd. Hi Sunflower. Oh, your little bumblebee emote. So cute. Once the thugs were gone, Subaru was left alone in the alley with the girl and her cat. Thinking that he at least needed to say thanks, Subaru forgot his pain and started to get on his feet, but don't move, said the girl in a cold, emotionless voice. You could see in her eyes that she was being cautious, even though she realized that Subaru was not with the other thugs. She wasn't about to let her guard down. That much was clear. You're cuter. Aww. It was actually Subaru's reaction that was more out of place. Even though the girl was looking at him like that, he was fixed on her beautiful and bewitching violet eyes. Not used to seeing such beauty, Subaru unthinkingly blushed and looked away. See, I knew I was onto something. If he had nothing to hide, he wouldn't look away like that, said the girl. And then, here. We can see we get a nice little picture of Amelia and Puck. Pucku. I like Puck has a little like purse. It's really cute. Okay. I'm not so sure about that. That seems like a very natural reaction for a boy like him. I'm sensing zero evil intentions, responded the cat. Be quiet, Puck. You know the girl who stole my badge, don't you? Shushing her cat, the girl turned to Subaru. Her expression, full of confidence, was lovely, however. Okay, this is very important. Yes, what is it? However, I'm sorry to let you down like this, but I totally don't know her, like completely not at all. Wait, what? Seriously? Who took my cookies? It wasn't me. It was Raven. Gasps. I am absolutely not a cookie thief. I swear. As her confidence was stripped from her face, Subaru was able to get a glimpse of how she naturally expressed herself, as opposed to her ongoing act. With that dignified air of hers out the window, the girl, flustered, turned quickly to the cat still resting on her palm. What are we going to do? Was this really all just a waste of my time? Give me cookies. Okay, fine, I'll go bake cookies. But I don't know how to bake cookies. Someone is gonna have to help me. I need an adult. A waste that's still in progress. I really think you should hurry. She was really fast when she ran away, so there's a good chance the culprit has some kind of strange protection on her side. How can you be so unconcerned about all of this, Puck? You're the one who told me not to get too involved, you know. Anyway, what are we going to do about him? The cat said, as if just remembering about Subaru. As the topic of conversation centered back on him, Subaru put on a weak smile. Oh, said the girl as she finally realized the cat was talking about Subaru. In response, Subaru put on an empty display of confidence and replied, Don't worry about me. Thanks to your help, I'll be fine. You're in a hurry, right? You should go. Can we bake cookies together, babe? Of course. I'd really, really like that, actually. Subaru hoped to finish this off with, if you'd like, I don't even mind helping you out. How about it, m'lady? Tips Fedora. ASMR artist, bottom right. Hi, Nectar. How you doing tonight? I'm trying my best at an ASMR stream. While brushing his hair back and flashing a smile, but suddenly dizzy, Subaru reached for the wall but missed and fell face first back onto the ground. Wait, you shouldn't try to stand up just yet. Well, okay, came the cat's warning, just a step too late. After falling with zero capacity to catch himself, Subaru felt a sharp pain in his consciousness, went winging away. So, what should we do? He has nothing to do with us. That's not enough to kill him. We're going to leave him. In the far reaches of his consciousness, as it left him, Subaru could hear just a little of the pair's conversation. That's an otherworldly fantasy for you. Everyone has quite severe view on the concept of empathy. Am I just going to be abandoned here in this alley? Was the negative take. Well, I suppose I was going to die, and now I'm not, so I should be super grateful, was a more positive thought. I ate all of them. Raven ate all of the cookies. But that's okay. We can always make more. With these two views in mind, Subaru's consciousness drifted further and further away. I'm gonna lock my windows for now on. Are you sure? I'm sure. Right before the thread of Subaru's consciousness was cut for good, he was able to see that silver-haired girl, red in the face, turn around and shout, There's no way I'm going to save him, okay? Okay? Man, even when she's angry, she's really cute. Go, otherworldly fantasies. With that last thought, really this time, once and for all, Subaru's consciousness fell into darkness. Okay. I take a sip of my drink. It occurred to Subaru that the feeling of waking up was similar to having your face rise up from out of a body of water. When he opened his eyes, the sun's light was at an angle and shone into them, causing him to squint at the brightness and rub his eyes. I'm gonna name my next Pokemon Otherworldly Fantasy. Sheesh, my auntie just gave me cake. Never mind, I'm eating all my cake. I have secure cookies for Princess. Aww. I am everyone's auntie now. Well, I'm still Lily's little sister, but that's okay. Oh, you awake? Said a voice from right above Subaru. Oh, wait, hold on. He woke up in a rather pleasant way, and Subaru was the type of person to be fully awake once he opened his eyes. Auntie has some cake. Oh, you're awake, said a voice from right above Subaru's head, with him still lying down. As Subaru turned to look in the direction of the voice, he realized that he was still lying on the ground, but had his head on something soft that was being used as a pillow. You shouldn't move. You hit your head, so I can't say whether it's safe to just yet. This concerned voice sounded very kind. As Subaru remembered what happened just before he lost consciousness, he thought, given the circumstances, he might just be in one of those blessed situations one hopes to be in as a boy. To have one's head in a girl's lap. Hey, I'm a girl and I want to be in that situation. Lily, can I rest my head in your lap? Responding to this divine revelation, Subaru pretended to turn to readjust so he could enjoy himself to the fullest. With a circular motion, he rubbed his cheek against it and reached a feeling of absolute bliss. Words. And far more than he expected, he felt a fluffiness from the softness of the hair. Wow, beautiful girls are a lot hairier than I imagined. Hey, wait a minute. Cute, cute. Lap pillows are the best. Aw. Sputtered Subaru as he faced up, this time with his vision fully recovered, and took in what was happening. Right in front of Subaru, in his upside-down vision, was the face of a giant cat. I thought that, at least until you woke up, I'd make you feel comfortable. You can thank me later. First of all, I'd like you to stop with the terrible falsetto voice. There's no way I'd mistake a cat for the heroine. I mean, if only Ferris was the heroine of ReZero. Subaru had certainly never been in a situation before where he got to use a human-sized cat lap for a pillow, and well, it wasn't like you get to experience this every day, so he decided to make the best of it. Wow, this is actually really comfortable. Like, this is amazing. Now I understand why people want to love their cats till they go bald. Yes, please. We have 2 cats, and I've never had cats before, but oh my gosh, they're so soft. I can't believe how soft cats are. They were Momo's cats, and we never had cats before, but Momo moved in, so now we have 2 cats. One of them is named Yuki, which is actually a coincidence, and the other one is named Shizuma. They're good cats. Well, if you're going to be this happy about it, I guess it was really worth supersizing. Don't you think so too? The cat scratched at his face as if he were embarrassed and winked as if seeking a confirmation. At the end of that glance was a silver-haired girl, standing at the entrance to the alley looking unfazed. Momo naming her cat after her waifu. You better move, Raven. It was the same girl from before. If Subaru was to believe his memories, eyes, and heart, which were all deeply branded by her image right before he lost consciousness. I'm sorry about all of this. It looks like you ended up staying here with me until I woke up, and don't get any ideas about this. The only reason I stayed is because I still have some questions to ask you. If it weren't for that, I would have left you behind. I mean it, so don't get any ideas. BRB naming my cat Bunny. Okay, but a cat named Bunny is such a cute idea. The princess calls for cookies. We can all have cookies. I think a cat named Bunny is really cute, and also a bunny named Kitty would be adorable. Pressing the point, the girl put strong emphasis on her words. I think animals that are named as other animals is like a weirdly cute idea. But I don't know. Maybe that's the childlike part of my brain at work. Momo kitten? I have a baby bunny named Lou. Wait, you do? You have a baby bunny? That makes me so happy. I've never even seen Lou, but I love Lou with all of my life. Pressing the point, the girl put strong emphasis on her words. This was a level of girl power that Subaru, who had no resistance against such beautiful girls, same, simply could not stand against. It's a white bunny with red eyes, and he is super nice. Aww. It was so strong that Subaru could do nothing but nod, ignoring the content of whatever she was saying. The reason I healed your wounds, and the reason I had Puck serve as a pillow until you woke up, all of that was for me. So, I'm going to have you make it up to me, okay? I know you're trying to build this up and everything, but if you just have something to ask, go right ahead, said Subaru. It looked like she was one of those people who took the saying, helping others isn't just for their sake, to heart. The girl looked sternly at Subaru and shook her head. I'm not asking, I'm commanding. You know something about my stolen badge, don't you? Asked the girl, dropping the tone of her voice. However, this wasn't any different from what she had asked before. Subaru had to tilt his head in confusion. They had gone through this once already, right before Subaru had passed out. She keeps calling that thing a badge, Subaru thought. So, is it something like what the police and detectives keep on themselves to prove what they are? I haven't seen anything like that. Command me more? Yeah, I feel it. Oh, okay. Bye, Jacob. I hope that you have a good night. Or I guess a good day, because you just woke up. Bye-bye. You didn't hit your head real hard or anything while I was passed out, did you? Subaru asked. You were only out for about 10 minutes, and no, nothing like that happened. Answer the question. Well, I, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Well, if that's the case, I've got to say, I really don't know. You can't do anything about what you don't know. Subaru's answer was no different from before. However, the girl didn't look particularly crestfallen, but instead nodded. Well, if you don't know, you don't know. But the fact that you know absolutely nothing itself is information you've provided to me, and enough for me to justify healing you, the girl replied, using twisted enough logic to baffle any swindler to describe her complete loss. You're always distracting to me, Lily. Hopefully some nice thoughts filled that head of yours and you were hey. I mean, they were really nice thoughts, though. As Subaru looked on, dumbfounded, the girl clapped her hands together as if to finish things. Well, I'm in a hurry, so I'm going to get going now. Your wounds should all be healed, and I threatened those other guys so much. I doubt they'll go near you again, but it's still dangerous to enter an alley like this all alone. Oh, and I'm not saying this because I'm worried about you. Baka, this is a final warning. If I see you in a similar situation again, there won't be any merit to me saving you, so you can't expect me to do so again, said the girl with machine gun rapidity. She took Subaru's silence as affirmation, nodded to herself, and turned bound to leave. The girl's long silver hair swayed as she moved and sparkled fantastically in the dim light of the alley. Oh, oh my gosh. Lily. Out of out of curiosity's sake, is this a friend that I know? Or is this someone that knows me and I don't know them? Gosh. I'm so flustered now. Ooh. I'm sorry about that. She's not really honest with herself. Don't think too strangely of her, okay? Said the cat with a laugh as, having returned to its original size, it jumped onto the girl's shoulders. The girl patted its back as if to affirm its touch, and the cat disappeared, slipping behind the curtain of her hair. Without once looking back, the girl continued to walk on. As he watched her go, Subaru thought about what the cat had said, about her not being honest with herself and her intentions. The flustered Bun Bun is kinky. I... Maybe just a little bit. Wait, I'm kidding. This is a say-so stream. Right? I'm a say-so VTuber. I never say anything lewd. She had something stolen from her, and even though she was in a hurry to get it back, she saved Subaru. Then, after Subaru had passed out, she healed him, and when he woke up, she used terrible reasoning to try to show him that she wasn't worse off for doing so. She's not really honest with herself, was not going far enough. Her efforts were coming up negative in everything, and it was hard to watch. Say so, Bun. Yeah, see? Right, I believe you. Well, good. I'm absolutely trustworthy, and I would never lie about that, ever. The girl had every right to blame Subaru for getting in her way, but she hadn't complained even once, and she didn't even look for an apology. That's because to her, the only reason she saved Subaru was for her own ends. If you live like that, you're just going to keep losing until there's nothing left, said Subaru as he got up, patted his dust and dirt-covered tracksuit and started running. Sure, his beloved tracksuit was in pretty bad shape, but on the inside, almost all of his pain was gone. That's after being kicked and punched as much as he was. Again, Subaru was reminded of the otherworldliness of magic, as well as the generosity of that girl who, despite going on and on about having Subaru pay her back, took nothing from him in return. Yep, just as innocent as I claim to be. Got it. Hey, wait! Subaru called out to the girl just as she reached the entrance to the alley and was in front of the main road, looking unsure of where to go next. The girl touched her silver hair and looked a bit troubled as she turned around. What is it? I'm going to tell you right now. I only have a bit more time to spend dealing with you. So a little's fine then. Anyway, what you lost is really important, right? Let me help you look for it. The girl blinked a few times, surprised. But you said you don't know anything. It's true that I don't know the name of the girl who stole the badge from you, or where she's from, but at least I know what she looks like. She's got blonde hair, is sort of like a kitten, and has this canine tooth that sticks out that's hard to miss. She's shorter than you, and her chest is pretty flat. So she's maybe 2 or 3 years younger than you? How about that? Say so stream, where is the Christian Minecraft server? When he got flustered, Subaru had a bad habit of speaking fast and not really even knowing what he was saying. Right now, that bad habit was running at full blast, and even Subaru wanted to distance himself from his own words. The ensuing silence was painful. A cold sweat drenched Subaru's back, not to mention his hands and armpits, which was followed by heart palpitations, shortness of breath, as well as dizziness. And in addition to feeling faint, his nose stuffed up in an allergic reaction accompanied by a migraine. such that there were problems on every front. However, gosh, I'm so bad at reading. I don't know why you guys put up with my illiteracy. You're strange, the girl said, with a hand up to her mouth, tilting her head to the side as if she were looking at some rare animal. With a finger still at her lips, she stared at Subaru, sizing him up. You're doing wonderfully. Oh, thank you, Lukoa. I'm trying my best. Being a bit flustered probably doesn't help, though. Yeah, I might be a bit distracted. I should say up front that I can't offer you anything in return for your help. I might not look it, but I don't have a copper piece on me. Don't worry, that makes 2 of us, replied Subaru. 3 of us if you count me. Pretty terrible for us as a group, added a voice jokingly from the girl's silver hair, but Subaru ignored it and pounded his chest. I don't need anything in thanks. I'm the one who should thank you. That's why I want to help. I haven't done anything deserving of your thanks. I've already gotten something in return from healing you. Distracted. Down bad. Hey. Lily, am I down bad? She just won't give up, will she? Subaru looked at the girl and her stubborn attitude with a weak smile. Yes, babe. Wow. Betrayed live on stream. If that's the case, then I'll help you for my own sake. The reason is, yeah, that's it. I'll use you for my one good deed a day project, said Subaru. One good deed a day? That's right. Once a day you do one good thing. If you do that, after you die, you've got a one-way ticket to heaven. If you can do it, then a wonderful life of just eating and sleeping is waiting for me. So I hear. I want to eat and sleep. I'm just being honest. Top 10 anime betrayals. Hi, Ed Niels. I'm doing really good. I like your Lily emote. I like Lily emotes. I like Lily. Let's see. So I hear. So that's why I'm going to help you for my own sake. Subaru felt like turning to himself and asking what the hell he was going on about, but at least he managed to make his point. The girl stood in thought, considering Subaru's words, when her cat poked at her cheek with its paws. I don't sense any evil intentions from him, and I don't really think it's a bad idea, you know. With how large the capital is, it's way better than going on no clues at all. But if I get him involved, you're cute when you're stubborn, but it's foolish to let your stubbornness get the best of you and make you lose sight of your goals. I'd really rather not think of my own master as a fool. The cat added its support in favor of Subaru, but the girl was still hesitant. In response, the cat dropped it. And I just learned a new interesting term. What term? Just wanted to say hello before I go rest. Oh, okay. Well, I hope that you rest well. Such an adorable queen auntie. I'm a princess auntie. Lily is the queen. The cat added its support in favor of Subaru. The cat dropped its expression and continued in a serious voice. Plus, the sun is starting to set. If night falls, I won't be able to help you. I'm not worried about you handling a thug or two, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Down bad? Oh, I just learned this cool new term. Oh my gosh, Lily. Lily. Well, it sounds like you're the one to call if there's danger. But wait, according to what you said, you can't come out at night? Is that one of the deals of your contract or something? Subaru asked, taking a step closer. The cat flicked its whiskers with its front paw and said, "It's more like I may look cute, but I'm a spirit, you know? I use a lot of mana just by materializing. When night falls, I return to the crystal that is my vessel and prepare for when the sun is out again. I suppose you could say it's a perfect 9-to-5 job." Yes, I love you. 9 to 5. That sounds like a government job. The conditions to hire a spirit sound more severe than I expected. Super was able to talk naturally about spirits, but that was only because of the analytical power he had as a modern otaku, poisoned by anime and games. Time to look up Down Bad Off Brand of Priscilla. The off brand of Priscilla is that one purple haired bunny girl from, oh, Fluff. What is the name of that series? Toho. Toho. I don't remember her name. Even traits looked down on by the public come in handy sometimes. While Subaru and the cat continued their conversation, the girl continued to anguish over her decision. However, that last point seemed to have tipped the scales, so after much moaning with a number of buts, moaning and a number of buts, and stills and ifs, she finally conceded. I'm telling you, I really can't give you anything in return, okay? Ah, yes, Priscilla Light. After Subaru's first friendly interaction in this different world, a pleasant, heartwarming episode, 1 hour had passed. What is the meaning of this? Their investigation had stalled. RC Priscilla. I'm gonna do an internet book. Off-brand I use for anime lewds. There are a few anime lewds of Priscilla. Hopefully there will be more in the future. After Subaru's... as Subaru faced the girl's cold stare, he scratched at his face, trying to find a way out. Even with all of my experience, I never thought that it would be this difficult. You seem to have a really high opinion of yourself, but I haven't seen anything from you to prove it. No matter how you slice it, things aren't going well. Nobody says no matter how you slice it anymore. Ludes of Priscilla, you say. I've noticed. Pointing this out only made things worse, and the girl's stare grew sharper, at which Subaru shrank away. Even though they had been searching for a little under an hour, for some reason, Subaru and the girl were back in the alley. Of course, there was a really good reason for this. There were several factors Subaru had discovered that made their search difficult. First, Subaru didn't know his way around town. Given that he had just been summoned from another world, it was hard to blame him for wanting to pass on this one. Additionally, it seemed that the girl was unfamiliar with the area as well, and at least 10 minutes were wasted with both having full confidence that the other knew their way around. The Lily Exilla eludes are poggers. It's true. Very, very froggers. Let's see. It was pretty funny, actually, or so Subaru thought, but the way the girl was staring at Subaru, she didn't seem to find it funny at all. Second, the characters and symbols written here and there were completely illegible to Subaru. Given that Subaru didn't have any trouble communicating by speech, he hadn't thought all that much about it, but after a second look, he saw that all around, here and there, were handwritten symbols. Unless they were all some kind of mystic charms to protect against some evil magic, that tended to be popular. Those symbols were probably letters for the common language, and because he couldn't understand them, he couldn't even read the road signs. Lily is a lily pad, can confirm. Welcome to the lily pad. Give me your livers, please. In other words, while a miracle common in most otherworldly summoning works of fiction is, for some reason, our words and writing are mutually understood, in Subaru's case, only half of that came true. Livers. But given that, if Subaru hadn't been able to communicate through words, he would have been as good as dead. It was hard to call his situation unlucky. Still, why do you have to raise the difficulty like that on me? The world's not kind at all. Rather than exhausting all options, it was more of a case of finding a series of critical problems before you even get started. While despairing at making absolutely no progress over the past hour, Subaru noticed that his companion, that girl, was standing up by the wall of the alley with her eyes closed, paying absolutely no mind to him. Seeing her lips move as she muttered something a few times, he tilted his head in confusion. Wonder what she's doing. Oh, that? She's communicating with lesser spirits. Subaru raised his eyebrows in surprise that the girl's gray cat suddenly reappeared right in front of his eyes. I thought I hadn't seen you in a while, but you hadn't gone home or anything. You were here the whole time? There's still a bit of time left before I have to go. Unlike those minor spirits she's talking to, I take my job seriously. By the way, I wonder how far I am. Hmm. I might I might finish this chapter up and then maybe switch to a game. I like reading and all, but I kind of want to do something a little more exciting after this. Plus reading this much kind of hurts my throat. Well, that's quite honorable of you, but what are these lesser spirits again? Going by the name, I suppose they're ranked down from regular spirits, Subaru thought. As if agreeing with Subaru's musings, the cat floating in midair waved its long tail back and forth. Lesser spirits are beings that, in a state prior to becoming real spirits, start to develop some knowledge. If, over time, they gain power and self-awareness, they'll become spirits like me. I like your reading test, you. Well, if people like it, I'd love to do more in the future. As he nodded, listening to the cat's explanation, Subaru noticed that the area around the girl began to glow. The silver-haired girl was surrounded by faint lights that looked as though they were fireflies. It was the kind of scene that most people would subconsciously hesitate to interfere with. It was like holy ground, where by the influence of the supernatural, only what was sanctified was allowed to be. Much agreed was a nice surprise to walk into. Oh, well, I'm glad. In response to the scene, Subaru, wow, that's so cool. Are all of those glowing things spirits? Intruded on it without a second thought, breaking the fantasy of it all with as he started talking to the girl. As the girl cried out in surprise, you could see droplets of tears that formed in reaction sparkling in her eyes. Then the girl's flustered state spread to the lights around her, and oh, look at that, they're panicking. The many lights started to flee this way and that before finally scattering and disappearing into the air. Um, both Subaru and the girl opened their mouths, dumbstruck, searching for where the lesser spirits had gone. Quickly, the girl tried to continue what she had been doing, but it didn't appear the lesser spirits were heeding her call anymore. Just look at what you did. They're gone. What are you going to do about this? Uh, I'm sorry. It was my first time seeing spirits like that. I got a little excited. I mean, it didn't look like they were dangerous or anything. It was only safe because I had them under control. If you had done that to an inexperienced spirit mage, it would have been awful. In the worst case, the spirits could have gone berserk and bam, bam. The girl was trying to admonish Subaru for not taking his actions seriously, but using the word bam wasn't exactly helpful. Oh, come on. There's no way those little sparkly things could be dangerous. Do you really expect me to believe that? Well, to put it one way, Puck said, I may look pretty cute, but it would only take 2 seconds for me to turn you into a pile of dust. Dang, spirits are scary. A shiver went down Subaru's spine in response to the cat's peaceful surrounding death threats, and he looked back at the girl. I definitely hope you don't happen to be so upset that you set your cat on me or anything. I would never use Puck for something like that. If I were going to be violent with you, I'd handle you myself. It really looks like you aren't going to answer me anymore. Failing to establish a second contact with the lesser spirits, the girl, depressed, shook her head powerlessly. I suppose it's not helpful to ask this after the spirit's already gone, but what is it exactly you were trying to do? I was trying to see if I could get any information from them about what I'm looking for. They disappeared before I was able to ask, though. What? Really? Subaru was struck speechless by the gravity of his mistake. Seeing that, the girl jumped in. But it did take some time, and lesser spirits don't have the kind of clear awareness that regular spirits have, so I wasn't really expecting much, but okay, I'm sorry, that's a lie. Mm, I love you. I hope you're all cozy. The girl's hesitancy to lie was in conflict with her desire for a positive outlook, so while she tried, she was unable to soften the blow. In fact, her struggle with herself only highlighted to Subaru his own stupidity. At this rate, he wasn't going to be able to do anything but slow her down. You're sleepy again? Aw, sleepy Lily. This is bad, both considering the debt I owe and the fact that she's my one precious connection to this world. I'm gonna do my best to cling to this relationship and not let go. From the look on your face, it looks like you're up to no good, but did you think of something? In front of Subaru, who had found a questionably new sense of determination, the girl hesitated. Subaru tilted his head and stared at her for a while as she furrowed her brow, but it was the cat that came to her rescue. Ah, now that I think of it, we haven't told each other our names yet, have we? Should we introduce ourselves? Oh, you're right. Well then, I guess I'll go ahead and go first. In an overly energetic fashion, in part to help cover up his previous mistake, Subaru struck a pose and pointed to the heavens. My name is Natsuki Subaru, the ignorant and unintelligent, forever and everlasting penniless. Nice to meet you. Well, that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, does it? Anyway, I'm Puck. Nice to meet you too. As Subaru put out a hand, Puck leapt into it with his whole body for a handshake. An onlooker would probably think Subaru was trying to squeeze the cat to death. The girl blinked in surprise at Subaru's bold interaction. It's rare to see someone who's willing to approach a spirit so easily, and your name is just as unusual. With black hair and dark eyes like that, just where did you come from? I was waiting for you to ask that question. Given this trope, I'll have to say I came from a small country to the east. I'm sorry you're sleepy, Lily. I love you. Let me know if there's anything I can do. This is a pattern that has often come up in otherworldly fiction since times long past. A character will state that they come from a hidden country to the east called something like Zipang. There tends to not be that much interaction between countries, so if you say you've traveled to where you are from that country, it'll make sense to most people. It's a magically convenient cliche. If you look at a map of the continent, Lagunica is the country furthest to the east, so there's no country to the east of here. What? Are you serious? We're at the ends of the east? So does that make this country my long yearned for? So dang. So you don't know where you are, you don't have any money, you can't read, and you have no one you can count on. I'm starting to think you're worse off than I am. While Subaru was shocked at the new development, the girl was also starting to look anxious. With every action she took, you could see the element of her personality that made her want to help others. She probably couldn't help but be concerned about Subaru. Big ouchies. Who, to her, was looking more and more to be not only defenseless, but absolutely helpless. The girl looked at Subaru again carefully from the top down. Taking another look at you, you actually look like you're in pretty good shape. Subaru? Hmm? Oh, yep, Subaru, that's my name. Having his name called in such a hesitant way, for some reason, felt like a fresh new experience to Subaru. And he couldn't help but stumble in his response. After clearing his throat to hide the fact that he was shaken up, he showed his biceps. I do strength training every day. I'm almost always cooped up in my room. I've got to at least do that much to stay in shape. Night night, Bun Bun. I love you. Kissia in Discord, beautiful. Oh, okay. Night night, Raven. Rest well. I don't really get what you mean by cooped up in your room, but you're from a high-ranking family, aren't you? Weren't you taught some sort of martial art? I'm from an extremely ordinary middle-class family, but what makes you think I'm from a high-class family? Do I exude some refined air of nobility? Well, you do have a bit of a curious air to you, at least. Subaru jokingly raised his hands as if to acknowledge the flattery. But then the girl suddenly grabbed those hands, and Subaru, taken aback by the suddenness of her touch, had to hold back a squeak from raising out of his throat. It's also these fingers of yours, but your skin and hair are part of it as well. These aren't the hands of a commoner. Your muscles don't look like the product of hard labor. Subaru blushed as the girl continued to poke at his hands, but understood. He was also impressed by her ability to see that he was not just simply a foreigner in a foreign country, in a foreign land. As Subaru stood in wonderment, the girl continued. Black hair and dark eyes. I hear that that is a common trait of the refugees from the south, but the fact that you're here in Lagunica with those traits means you're able to live a life of luxury. Also, the craftsman of those strange clothes of yours is magnificent. So, have I got that right? As Subaru grew quiet, the girl put on a proud smile. Feeling admittedly drawn by the bewitched atmosphere, she had made fitting of her beautiful smile. Subaru processed the contents of what she had just said and made a reluctant face. If you're asking me whether you're wrong or you are right, you're absolutely wrong, but there isn't any way I can say it so you won't get hurt. If I'm wrong, just tell me I'm wrong. If you don't, it's just going to be more embarrassing for me. The girl blushed as her earlier confidence transformed into embarrassment. As Subaru watched her go silent, he thought about how he's going to explain where he came from. He could just say, I'm a loser who was summoned from another world, but given the precedent set by fantasy fiction about other worlds, that would open gates for him to be labeled as someone who is wrong in the head. Looking back on the results of what he had said so far, he felt there was a significant risk in telling the truth. You don't have to think that hard about it, you know. If it's something you can't talk about, I won't question you any further. Seeing Subaru struggling with what to say, the girl came to her own conclusion and didn't press him. Given that she had come to his rescue yet again in a way, Subaru grimaced, feeling all the more useless. But really, this isn't looking very good, the girl muttered, in a now weaker tone, a clouded expression on her face. Seeing that the girl could no longer hide how hopeless she felt, Subaru felt a faint flame light up inside of himself. What am I, an idiot? Well, yeah, I am an idiot. Just what have I been doing all this time? Right in front of Subaru stood the girl who saved his life. Hadn't he offered to help her out so that he could repay her? If that was the case, then how was he supposed to explain his total lack of support? Subaru? Seeing Subaru fall silent and looking troubled all of a sudden, the girl tilted her head and looked at him puzzled, watched as with that motion her silver hair tumbled down off her shoulder. Subaru thought as hard as he could. Subaru tried to remember what had happened when the thief ran through the alley as those thugs were stomping on him. Focusing on that instant in time, he needed to find something, anything he could use. I have a few things I want to check with you. Is that okay? Okay, yeah, go right ahead. Thanks. I'm pretty sure I heard you mention it a few times, but this is the capital of whatever country we're in, right? So, basically, it's the town that has the king's castle in it, and it's a really big place, is that correct? Subaru asked, remembering bits of the conversation that he had with the girl before. While Subaru realized that his question must have sounded strange, the girl didn't interrupt and simply nodded a yes. So, in this big city, there's a girl who appears to be making her living stealing things. By the look of her clothes, she definitely doesn't seem to be that well off. Now, this may be obvious, but there's got to be a place where people live like that. Is there a place where crime is rampant, or something like a slum in the area? I'm sure it's hard to exchange stolen goods for money without some connections, so I think there's a good chance she would have had to go back to a place like that. With that image of a thief burned in his memory, Subaru analyzed her from head to toe and used all of his knowledge he had about fantasy settings to help form his thesis. So I think rather than searching around aimlessly, we have a better chance if we aim for that. But what's wrong? I was just surprised. You really do have a good head on your shoulders. Well, rather than a logical conclusion, it's more that it's a common theme in medieval fantasy, but if this is all it takes for you to start thinking better of me, I have a feeling that I've got a long way to go. Despite Subaru's response, he seemed to be taking the girl's praise rather well. While Subaru scratched at the side of his head to try to keep from showing how embarrassed he was, the girl nodded several times. We'll go with your plan. Let's go back out to the main road and ask some people if they know of a place that's like what you described. We're already really behind as is. After all, let's hurry up and get going. After Subaru and the girl looked at each other and nodded, they headed out of the alley and toward the main road. However, right before they could start their search for a spot where a lot of people who they could question were passing by, Subaru remembered something. I was just thinking, I know your cat's name now, but I don't think you ever told me your name. Haha. While Subaru thought that bringing this up now might have not been the best time, the girl's eyes widened a bit in surprise. She then closed them and, after a few seconds of silence, said, Satella. Oh. Subaru, who because of her silence had begun to think he had made a mistake, was a bit late in reacting to her whispered reply. In response, the girl turned away from Subaru and continued, I don't have a last name, so you can just call me Satella. Her voice had no emotion in it. Because of her attitude, it was as if, though she was giving her name, she was refusing to be called by it. Though her actions, this girl who gave her name as Satella, was putting a distance between herself and Subaru more than she had ever done before. Subaru, who already thought he would feel more comfortable having a surname to call her by rather than having to use her personal name, felt that he really couldn't use that name at all. For the time being, looking for a way out, Subaru decided to avoid using her name entirely and instead just use pronouns. And as he observed Subaru and the girl's exchange from the sidelines, Puck had one thing to say before slipping back under the girl's silver hair. That's in really bad taste, you know, it muttered, though its voice did not even reach the girl's ears, let alone Subaru's. Using the sound of the bustling crowd as a guide, Subaru and Satella walked back through the alley they were in and reached the main road about 10 minutes later. Shifting his gaze this way and that, Subaru looked for who they should question first, when Satella, who stood beside him, pulled on his sleeve. Hey, Subaru. When Subaru looked back at Satella, he saw that she had her gaze fixed on something on the other side of the street. Subaru looked in the same direction and realized what Satella was looking at. I have a bad feeling about this, he thought. Adding further weight to his fears, Satella continued, with a serious look on her face. Do you think that kid is lost? Out of all the possible things that could go wrong with this plan, the final one had reached its head. Well, one of the several things that Subaru had discovered throughout the day was that the silver-haired girl standing next to him was an incorrigibly kind person. But whether it was due to a curse or some other reason, she would never admit it to herself. Subaru sighed a deep sigh. Let's just calm down a minute. What are we going to do if she gets up and goes somewhere while we're dilly-dallying? We've got to go talk to her right away. Love you. You know, that kindness of yours is a great virtue, and given the fact that I myself was saved by that kindness, I really don't want to say this, but do you have any idea what situation you're in right now? Where Satella was looking, near the buildings across the street, there stood a young girl. She looked as though she was around 10 years old, with shoulder-length brown hair that was very cute. If she smiled, the people around her probably would not be able to resist smiling back. But unfortunately, at the moment, her eyes were filled with anxiety, and she looked moments away from tears. A hydrate, thank you, Lakoa. Thank you. And a stretch, thank you, Classic. Can I see, so we're on page 91. Can I just see where this goes? 157. I won't lie. I don't think I can read that much. today, so I might just here, let's go to streaming for now. Okay, so we read 91 pages